Save it for the podcast. Good idea.
The podcast that we're recording right now. Hello, everybody.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hola, señorita.
What?
You're
You're Italian, you idiot. That's completely confused.
Damn
Where
it.
it's actually from.
Messi.
Are we actually starting now then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
That was
cool.
the start.
Alright, cool.
Fuck you.
Well, that's the quickest start we've ever had, I think. That's what, 2 minutes?
That's what she said.
Yeah, well, hang
God.
on.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But just a quick opener.
Yep.
Opener.
Yeah, sorry for last month. We
we sort of missed a thing.
Yeah, we sort of missed a thing. I don't know if you noticed, but basically what happened was we recorded the Elder Scrolls cast, and that was pretty much the only time we actually spent in the same room.
Yeah,
So-
we didn't have much time at all to like. We barely played any video games, let alone like had any spare time to record podcasts
Yeah.
and stuff.
So we really didn't sort of like get around to doing this. So we apologise for that, but we are, well, most of us are back. We have an absent Wayne. We're not
Yep.
sure exactly. He never replied. He might be
He
dead.
could be asleep in a different location rather than asleep here. We're not actually sure.
Yeah.
He kind of stopped
I'll
responding.
be checking the ditches on the way home.
Checking
Yeah.
the wait. Yeah, I mean,
Who knows?
but so the show must go on, unfortunately, without Wayne. Wayne, if you listen to this, you're
Fuck you.
fired. Yeah,
Taking a pay cut next month.
No, but yeah, we're just sorry. The show had to go on.
Yeah. So today on this podcast,
We have a
obviously
special guest.
Yeah, we have.
We have,
We have myself, Tom. We have.
We have Andreas as per normal.
Yeah, we have,
Mess.
and we have our special guest, which is
Maybe you should let her introduce herself.
I'll let her introduce herself.
I don't think it's gonna work.
Wait.
She will speak. God damn it, she will speak.
This
is-
I want.
For those of you who didn't hear that, because she's very quiet and meek, that was Cindy Crawfish, our new mascot for Beefy Sandwich.
taking another picture.
We'll put a photo in rather than in our video bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have a plastic lobster thing that me and Mass found at work, and it's now the Beefy Sandwich mascot.
Cindy
And
Crawfish,
it's
name
called
pending.
Cindy Crawfish.
We plan to
Because
dedicate
Because
our
of a
lives to
terrible
it.
joke. I made.
Tom has
God.
yeah, Tom is now regretting every decision, and the name is actually up for debate. We're gonna, you know what we should do? Anybody, all 10 of you listen to the podcast.
I think
please.
10's a bit optimistic.
Submit a name for the crawfish. It has to be good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it has to be worse than
The crawfish.
Come
I
on.
don't- just like crawfish McCuntflats doesn't quite work.
Just get some little kid like lop in the lobster. It's like fuck off. Cindy Crawfish is
Yeah.
better. Oh god.
Oh,
Anyway,
dear.
on with the actual show.
Yeah.
So today we thought we'd start off by talking about something I've been thinking about a bit lately. So I've been playing a lot of games and thinking, I haven't watched many films lately. And I'm like, video games and films. How about that shit?
Yeah.
And also, there's been more sort of rumors and news recently about people like kickstarting and not an actual Kickstarter, but I think it was Sony or someone might try and bother to do BioShock films. So I was just thinking, first we'll start by talking about video games and film adaptations of video games.
Yeah, it's a pretty good way to start. I mean, we can all talk about our favorite movie film tie-ins. I know mine's Mario, Super Mario.
Oh god!
Really?
Why?
No.
We start
Why
with
did
that.
you bring that up?
Can you not tell what my favorite game-based film might be?
Is it Gemma Atherton's? But I mean Prince of Persia. What? Shut up.
Yeah, you know what? I liked Prince of Persia because it wasn't a brilliant film, but it was a decent film that sort of had the same humor as the game and stuff like that.
It had almost the same spirit as the game.
Yeah, and so it's not my favorite. It's not an amazing film by any means, but it was a decent film that sort of kept that sort of thing. So I mean, yeah,
I think I'd agree. It was pretty good, like for reasons whose names begin with G and her last name begins with A, and it's Gemma Atherton.
starts with G. Second name starts with A, and I also think there are 2 D's in there somewhere.
Really? I wouldn't say that. Anyway, welcome to the Pervcast. No. Yeah, so there's been a few more sort of there's been a few more rumours kicking up recently about they might make a BioShock film.
But would it be based in Colombia?
Yeah,
or...
that's what a lot of people aren't quite sure, because it seems like even though there was a bit of exploration and such in Infinite, that was a lot more linear and would probably be better suited to like the film medium, because there was optional exploration stuff, but it wasn't anything as important. Like you couldn't find the odd little side bit hidden off somewhere with like it's extra little story or something like that.
Yeah, I think something with Bioshock, it would work because of that kind of world. But I think the only problem with the video game films is you get video games when you play them. Even like the really short one that everybody complains about is sort of like 4 to 5 hours long. So you're talking like, compressing that down quite heavily already.
Yeah.
Even if it feels like a rushed game, then you've got a film that's an hour and a half, 2 hours long. That's compressed even further. So it feels like it loses a bit of its pacing.
I mean, a lot of people complain that stuff like Modern Warfare 2 or whatever and the Call of Duty games have really oversimplified stories, but they do well enough to kind of... I know it's mainly based around action pieces, you get a bit of story at the beginning and end of the mission, but they still do well to stretch that out, whereas it could possibly be... They'd have to thin it down even more to fit that into like a 2 and a bit hour, like, just action film. It'd be quite difficult.
I feel like the first time we've ever actually complimented Call of Duty on this podcast.
Probably. It must be. Well, probably one of us said Modern Warfare 1 was okay. I think that's the closest we've done.
I like Modern Warfare and I like...
Yeah.
But that's not this podcast. Sorry.
But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of options in terms of film adaptation of video games, but the easiest ones to do would be the more cinematic things like Battlefield 3. You've got like the kind of... Their campaign was criticised for being really heavily cinematic because it's just like walk forward a bit, shoot these dudes. Now look at this thing exploding. Walk forward, shoot. Look at this thing exploding. It's like
a lot of set pieces.
That's a lot of the set pieces, which Call of Duty does as well.
Yeah.
So I remember I think it was a year or two ago, I was watching a live stream. What was it? I think it was Desert Bus for Hope. I can't remember. And they had Yahtzee Croshaw on it. And I managed to get one of my questions through of what do you think would be a really good like adaptation into film for video games, and he said, it'd probably have to be something quite linear and boring, like one of the new Medal of Honors, because like a lot of gameplay mechanics and things wouldn't come across. And I was like, shit, he's got a point. Like I think he described it as a spunk goggle wee wee, which is what he calls like all the modern shooters. He's like, it'd have to be kind of a boring spunk goggle wee wee game, and I was like, oh, well, at least he answered my question.
Yeah.
But
there's actually proof of that. Have you seen the movie Doom, I think, with The Rock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have it on DVD, but I've never watched it.
The movie was balls.
I was told to watch it to know how not to make a movie.
Yeah, so I mean that did not help the whole movie game to movie franchise.
A lot of them haven't helped. Like I mean, Resident Evil, I've never really been massively into the games or the films, but like the films don't seem like they seem like they're barely related to the games in any way.
They've become more and more so as they've gone on.
Yeah.
But like the thing is with the Resident Evil games and the films was the first couple did really well because they were separate. They were set in the same world, but they were separate entities. And then they started converging them. And don't get me wrong, I'll say this now. Resident Evil films have not gotten better in any way, shape or form. In fact, since the second one, they've only got worse. But I love them. I think they're just such fantastic cheese fest. It's ridiculous, and it's just like you watch it and you're like, my god, this is fucking horrible. But you can't help but watch the next one. They announced the next one was coming out in the end of 2015, I think it was now, and you don't know how excited I am for that. Like,
are these movies actually making money? Because I can't bear to watch any of these movies.
The last one,
I don't think they spend much money to start with.
No,
to be honest,
the last one bombed pretty heavily, and because it's Paul W.S. Anderson, I think it is, who produces the film, and Mila Jovovich acts in it, and they're husband and wife, so they pretty much fund the entire thing themselves anyway.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's a case of like all that money they're putting in themselves, and I can respect that, but the films are terrible. It's always been like there's always been this competition between the Underworld films and the Resident Evil films. Like it's always Resident Evil Underworld, Resident Evil Underworld. Like this is the first time that a year's gone by that one of them hasn't been released.
Well, the problem is that I would find if I was comparing those two is that Resident Evil doesn't have Kate Beckinsale in it.
No, but I mean,
plus I sort of liked Underworld.
That's like a cheese fest.
Resident Evil.
I never really got into Underworld or so much, but it's just like I think Resident Evil though the first two films say what I want to say about movie type films is that they're only good when they're only loosely related. Like I'd love to see a film about Halo, but not about the Master Chief.
Yeah, I mean, Forward Unto Dawn proved that Halo is adaptable Just it has to be not too focused on Master Chief. Like
Yeah.
he appears in it towards the end, and he's kind of in it for a bit, but you don't really give a fuck about him. It's like, oh, it's Master Chief, that guy from the games.
Yeah.
But they actually did a decent job in the story, and it's like, oh, they put some actual human drama into it. Like a lot of people didn't expect that.
I think a big problem is a lot of these production companies aren't investing too much of their time and effort into these types of movies because perhaps they don't see the potential. Right now, we're in like a decade where it's all about comics now, comic book movies and whatnot. But I think with the upcoming movies like World of Warcraft, I think we've got Assassin's Creed coming up soon. These two movies alone, I think they're going to have the budgets behind them and the stars to make games to movies and a big thing. So these movies are going to open the floodgates potentially. If these movies are good in any way, they're going to open the floodgates, and we will find. I think that we're gonna find ourselves in the same way that we find ourselves with the comic book movies,
Like a
where
boom.
it's just a boom of these video game movies.
I don't. Okay, I'm gonna start by saying I don't really like the Assassin's Creed games. I'm not a massive fan of them.
I never played them.
They seem like oversimplified Prince of Persia games to me, the way they play, that sort of thing. And
kind of, yeah.
that transfers very well to the multiplayer. Love the multiplayer, but the game itself just doesn't feel like good enough for me. Sounds really, I fucking hate those games. Not quality enough.
Yeah.
But like, I think Assassin's Creed would be fantastic as a movie game tie-in because each Assassin's Creed game, although the first three were about the same main character, they're all different characters in different time periods. With Assassin's Creed, you can explore that a little bit more by sort of going to a different time period with a different place, and you're not so much exploring one character. You're exploring a whole mass of characters connected to one person.
Yeah.
So I quite like the idea that that's going to be a movie tie-in because it's a different thing.
I think it'll be very good because Assassin's Creed by nature is, you said it's a slightly simplified Prince of Persia, which like makes it a bit easier to put into a film, and it also made it a bit more cinematic. Like all the flashy animations when you dive on someone and stab them through the neck, the way you synchronize with the viewpoints where there's huge sweeping shots to epic music, even the way the game's open, like they could pretty much recreate. Especially, I can't really remember the first game, but the second Assassin's Creed opening where you're running around dicking about, then you're standing on the rooftop with like your brother or something, and it does the whole panning and zoom out, says Assassin's Creed 2. Like that, they just need to recreate that in like real life as opposed to in a game, and that's the movie opening done. Like it could be really good because it's like pretty good content that they can actually produce in something. Not too much is going to be lost.
Yeah,
there's a lot of source material that they could use. They don't actually have to make up their own stuff.
Yeah,
I think there are books as well based in different time periods.
Yeah,
as well. There's a couple of
Assassin's Creed books as well.
But then like, to look at another version of the spectrum is that the Gears of War movie that eventually I'm pretty sure it's cancelled now, isn't it?
Yeah, I doubt that.
I'm pretty sure that's fucked. Sorry guys if you were waiting for that, but the budget was cut in half after a while.
Yeah.
And you know what? That actually gave me a little bit more faith because anything that's a sort of a medium budget affair seems to have a little bit more feeling to it. Like they try and make it feel more like the game as opposed to look more like it. And with the Gears of War game, they could have explored so many different like parts of the teams. Like you got Delta Squad from the Gears of War games.
Yeah.
But what about all those other squads that are around? You see many other squads during the first couple of games. Like you can see them in like the bases at the beginning of the second one, stuff like that. Explore one of those, but full well that they were just going to go, we'll just put Marcus Phoenix in it and we'll have Dom.
We'll get him doing some active reloads and going nice and stuff, and then that's the movie.
Make him grumbly, make him butch, and that'll do. But like, so I'm sort of glad that was cancelled because it wouldn't have worked so well. Because if you take characters that already have a personality, albeit a very grey one.
Yeah.
You've already got an established character.
Yeah, you don't really play Gears for the story. It's like there's the story in number 1, which is like shoot the aliens, and I think there's kind of something behind it, but it wasn't really explained. In 2, it was kind of like
looking for the wife.
Yeah, it was like, where's Dom's wife? Maybe some other alien stuff. And 3 was suddenly like, oh shit, we should pretend like there's a story. So they're like, this happened and this happened. It's like, I was too busy chopping alien guts up. I don't remember this bit, but
and then like, spoiler, Dom dies, and then they find the dad, and it's just like, well, you know what? At the end of the game, I felt slightly betrayed as it goes.
Really?
a little bit, not because of anything that happened in the game. It was because they tried making it less butch grizzled men kill aliens type thing. Because to me, that's what Gears of War was just an alien murder fest.
It was Lancer chainsaw somebody down the middle and go nice, and then move on and do it again.
It was just walk. It's like walk through a corridor into a large area.
Yeah.
Kill a load of aliens and then
super glue your ass to cover while something's like molting at you.
Exactly.
Winding up a minigun.
Just murder tons of aliens and then move on. You can't convert that into a film either.
And also the palette is so brown that like unless they put like they kind of do in the game loads of like random shininess and weird texture work, it'd just be like put a brown slate on for like an hour and a half and then put Gears of War at the end and be like, hey, maybe, I don't know.
Just film everything in a really saturated sepia tone.
Oh, God.
Just like nice. Just even the water was brown. Just like that's the thing is that with Gears of War they were just like it was like brown little bits of like tree, and then in the third one they were just like underwater. It's blue. It's vibrant. It looked pretty. Don't get me wrong, but it just didn't feel right in the game.
Yeah, it's a bit more so than Call of Duty and stuff. Like there was fun, like the execution animations and stuff. There was a bit of interactivity and stuff like that. It's one of those games where you couldn't just sit back, especially if you're playing on like the hardest mode. Dear God. I'd like to see him do a movie of that. It's just Marcus Phoenix respawning and getting blown up repeatedly. It's like fucking Brumac.
It's like, you know what? I'd love to see like. The thing that makes me happier than seeing game-based movies is seeing game-based fan movies. Because I can just imagine if they made Assassin's Creed like a fan-based game movie, it would just be a really cheap plastic on the sword killing someone, and then like the screen flickering, hexagons appearing, and then being like, I killed someone.
Yeah, people have done, I think, Assassin's Creed, and recently a good one, Deus Ex as well. So I'm like legitimately okay, like fan films.
Some of them are fantastic. Like Mortal Kombat's actually made into a film now. There was a Mortal Kombat, I can't remember what it's called now, but the series itself was really good. Everybody really liked the series, and the people who made it have been commissioned. Yeah. And the people who made it have been commissioned by Warner Brothers to make a film, and that's really interesting. I think that really shows that there are some talented people that haven't been discovered out there, but like. Who's willing to take a risk on something that might fail that much? They had to test out
that had already failed, by the way, twice. I think wasn't it?
Well, Mortal Kombat films.
Yeah.
Not talking about the films. Films were so like they were cheesy.
I know, but the fact that this production company you said is taking that risk even after it's failed twice already.
The thing is, even to like dignify taking the risk, they had to do that web series where. They got hardly any money from it, just to gauge interest from the people who would they want this? But it's like it's like no, there are loads of people out there really talented to do things, but it takes things like that for them to really come prominent. They got recently there was a mini Street Fighter fan film, it was only like 5 minutes long, where it's just Ken versus Ryu, and it was two people sparring, and the guy who played Ryu was actually the guy who played Jin in the Tekken movie. Which proves that he is actually a pretty decent actor.
Yeah.
Just want to point out, apart from Mortal Kombat, somehow that works. I don't know, but never make a game out of a fighting game.
You mean a film?
Never make a game out of a fighting game.
This guy, he's so drunk.
Crazy.
I've got the Wayne bug. Falling asleep. but like, I mean, never make a film out of a fighting game. Because the game... Fighting games,
unless you include the sound of furious button mashing. It's like somebody masturbating in the crowd and you realise it's coming from the speakers. It's like X. God damn it.
And then like just one person comes on, it's Christy, and you're like.
And then for some reason they're doing like no arms mode, and it's like, how does this make sense? Oh right, it's literally like the game.
Yes. I'm hatching a plan as we speak. I don't think we could do no arms mode so easily. But it's just like. Films, like the stories to games, are pretty flimsy to begin with. If you could probably make them a decent story eventually.
Yeah.
But it's just like you can't do that and then just have like, I'm fighting for the vengeance of my mother. Like, fuck off.
But the thing is, with something like Mortal Kombat, you sort of have to draw your own sort of story because there's not much lore to it, or there's not much to pull from, from the source material, as opposed to what, like I mentioned before, World of Warcraft, where there's so much lore going on. Like people invest like so much of their time just creating lore.
There's going to be footage of them grinding.
Yeah.
Grinding,
out.
yeah.
It's like coming in part 7,
Yeah.
just more grinding.
And there's just like a montage for a full half an hour in the middle of the film with just some dude attacking
Yeah.
random helpless animals.
Just walking up and being like, cow. That would be the RuneScape.
RuneScape the movie, I would pay to see that shit.
That'd
be so good.
You must kill this giant
Yeah.
rat, and it's just a cow. Just
We need to
That's
make
not a-
the ultimate sword. Don't worry, I've got my trusty hatchet. And they're just chopping fucking willow trees down for half
just,
an hour.
just a montage of.
The fucking dumb noise it makes.
It's just like
all the trees are really creaky and they're just gonna go
yeah.
on a hinge.
A lot of MMOs probably would make decent films. It's like because there's a lot of story, and you could just pick one quest line and have
Yeah.
a story like that. But they pick things like Tekken. Tekken movie's getting a sequel.
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
I don't.
Why
I
would
don't
you
know.
tell me this?
Why? I found out
My
recently.
life is worse for knowing this now.
You know what's even worse? I'll probably watch it.
Oh, you scumbag.
Just
might
That's
too.
why
Yeah.
it's getting a sequel, because
Yeah.
of guys like you.
But I didn't pay to watch the first one. I'm not afraid to admit I downloaded it. I didn't want to pay for that shit.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, but it's just like this. It's just a bit disillusioned when you think about all the game-based films that are coming out and how they just like try to copy paste the story and it just
Yeah.
loses the feeling. It's like the Splinter Cell film. It's just going to be a film about stealth with Tom
Yeah.
Hardy. All the women are going to want to go see it because it's Tom Hardy. You know what they might as well do? They might as well just port his character from This Means War into.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think a lot more of them need to do what Prince of Persia did, which is, well, kind of what Until Dawn did, even though it's not a film, it's a TV series or whatever.
It was like
They need to make an adaptation, but they need to do it well. So they don't need to make too much compromise. Like in Prince of Persia, he still had the dagger. There was still the sands of time.
Yeah.
But instead of stabbing a shitload of sand creatures to death or whatever, he just had a couple of funny uses of it during the film.
Yeah.
And the way you fill it up is stabbing into a giant weird hourglass thing.
Yeah.
Like that worked. There was some compromise there. They still had elements, and they had like enemy assassins and stuff in there that were trying to kill you.
But they still had the vibe and the spirit of the
Exactly.
game, and that's what they need. They need to be able to.
Yeah, and I think the best film that have game feels to them are either the low budget ones or the ones that don't base themselves on an already established story. Like as you said, Forward Unto Dawn. You look at Forward Unto Dawn, and okay, there's only one game world that would never ever ever work well. 2 game worlds that would never ever work well, but they're making films out of both of them. The Sims.
Oh.
It's like, how can you make a story out of that? That is
Yeah.
just fucking wrong. Like, there's no story there.
We can just
No.
record ourselves for 2 hours, and there's the Sims
Nobody.
movie.
It's all going to be subtitled because they're speaking in
Yeah.
fucking the Sim language.
I could make a Sims film. It would literally be us doing menial tasks, but in the
Yeah.
corner there will be a list of tasks that we've got to do, and at the bottom will be our happiness meter, slowly draining because it's fucking boring
Yeah.
to watch. But and also Minecraft.
That doesn't work.
Just want to point out, just
That's,
quick.
that's like making a fucking Gmod movie.
Yeah.
It's a sandbox. You can't make. Although they did make a Gmod movie, which is fucking great.
Really?
A fan made one called War of the Servers. Quite old, genuinely very good.
I might have to check it out.
Yes,
But-
definitely.
Just quickly, to completely off topic, I want to make a point. Right? In the 70s, there was a big thing about the mining crisis. Everyone, the miner strikes and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. People don't want to mine anymore. We got away from that. How did we end up playing Minecraft?
It turns out everybody does want to mine.
Turns out everybody fucking loves mining.
Yeah.
And it's just like, so there you go. If anybody's listening, we need to reinstate mining in
Yeah,
England.
'cause a lot of people love that shit.
Apparently there would be a boom of mining job people.
Mining job
those things,
people
yeah.
and
I-
stuff.
Miners, do you mean?
It's
No, that
been,
just sounds like
we
police.
haven't podcasted for what, fucking month, and I've already
Yeah.
lost my brains.
Dear God.
Cindy Crawfish driving us
yeah.
to distraction.
Yeah, she's so good looking. Them claws, bro.
Yeah.
But going back to...
Click, click.
Oh dear. Going back to what
Oh,
I mentioned at the
Crawfish.
beginning with Bioshock, it's a great setting, great atmosphere, great backstory to sort of Rapture and everything, and the story itself could work in a film, but the point of that goddamn game is it's first person for a reason. you experience everything that happens.
The atmosphere.
Like, yeah, you experience everything first person because it's A, more effective, B, the parts where... Massive, you play Bioshock?
No.
Well, fuck you, it's
I
an
have
old
it
game.
either. It doesn't really bother me.
Okay,
Yeah.
fuck you too, it's an
I've
old
watched
game.
Let's Plays,
Basically,
so
the parts involving the twists and a lot of parts where you actually lose control of your body because you're being controlled by someone else. If you just watch a dude doing that, it's like, what, are you going to film a guy doing like stress face trying to resist? No, it works because you're viewing it.
Yeah.
It's happening to you as the player. You think you've been in control the entire game, then this guy's like, oh no, by the way, I was controlling you, and makes you like...
Oh,
uses
by the
this
way,
safe
would you
word to-
kindly?
Yeah, like he uses that word
Yeah.
to make him like beat you to fucking death, and it's just like that was amazing.
Yeah.
If it's like a shot of someone doing that, it's like that's not gonna have the same gravity to
Yeah.
it. Like also, you know, that it's a fairly simple game in terms of the combat and stuff, but how are you gonna show effectively like the reason when you first inject a plasmid into yourself, the reason it's so effective is because from first person you watch yourself falling over
Yeah.
and convulse, and like you look at your hand as it like I think the first one you get is the fire one probably. So like it's been a while since I played it. So you watch your hand like mutate into this like fire thing, and it's like, wow, this looks really good, and you're seeing it as if it's happening to you.
Yeah.
Like without you there in that, it's going to be too
Doesn't have the same
disjointed.
effect.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it, doesn't quite have the same effect.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
I just
You're not seeing everything. You're not experiencing rapture through your eyes. It
Yeah.
wouldn't work. I really don't think. I think Infinite maybe could work because it seems a bit more linear,
Yeah.
and they didn't really explore the backstory of Columbia or whatever as much.
Hmm.
So they could even set it before the game or whatever.
No, and we know we think there's not going to be any more Bioshock games for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So the chances are that if you made a film, it could probably explore. If they got Ken Levine to come in and help write it, there's a good chance that he'd have quite a lot
Yeah.
to say for the backstory that they could put into the game. that
Well,
would work
yeah,
really
going
well.
off the end of Bioshock Infinite, they've got, you know, tons of possibilities of what they can do. They just happen to have gone, for the DLCs, we will go back to Rapture. And it's like, why? At the end of the fucking
Yeah.
game, you made it so anything is possible, and you go back to that. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, I think like Bioshock movie, good idea. Love the games, love the backstory to it, everything. Really don't see it. Like, imagine, again, it's a bit more of a sandbox. Imagine a Fallout movie. You could have some good stuff because there's loads of backstory with all the different factions and things,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't work because you're not experiencing all the wasteland, the destruction through your eyes.
Yeah.
You're not experiencing, like, in the game, you go around and find hundreds and thousands of little stories in every building and whatever.
Yeah.
and
There's the whole
read about it.
the whole thing is just one big book of stories.
Yeah, and you wouldn't get that in a film at all because you're gonna have one story and then a couple of subplots, and
But
that
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
defeats the spirit of the game.
I hear what you're saying, but I feel like you can experience a movie in a different sense. You can still be pulled into a movie, in just differently from a video game. And like you said in Fallout, if you've created this world in the movie, you can make it somewhat immersive, even though you're not actually playing the video game. I mean, you've surely been immersed in like other movies. I can't think at the top of my head. It's too late. But like with things like just
9:55,
like
everybody.
musical scores and stuff like that to help pull you in.
Yeah,
To help
I mean, they
push-
could do a good job with the atmosphere and conveying it, but it's
Mm.
still not going to be quite the same. Like, because another big thing with Fallout, especially in 3 and kind of expanded in New Vegas, is the whole karma system.
Yeah.
Like, you've got the good and the bad, so if you complete the quest by like killing everyone, oh, negative karma for you. If you complete it by helping this dude and saving that person, then good karma. Like, that entire element would be left out, and it's
Yeah.
like that was a huge part of Fallout 3. It changed a bit in New Vegas because it's more like faction based, which I really loved, and we'll talk about a bit more in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think another problem with a lot of games is if you try to turn them into films, you lose a lot of like the moral choice mechanic because
you lose a lot of what makes the game
yeah,
what it is.
the game.
I think with a thing like Fallout, you couldn't really make a film about just a wasteland or anything.
Yeah,
It would have to be. I don't think it could be a film. I think what it would have to be is it'd have to be a series of short stories from the wasteland.
yeah,
It would be just like a continuing amount, like little bits where it's just like, you know, you the whole thing. It starts with like they're in a bar in the wasteland or something. Like they're in the bar in one of the first wastelands, and it just like it goes through each member of the wasteland, like the people in the bar and
Yeah.
how they got to who they are, what they're doing. So it's like a backstory type thing. That's the only way you could really expand the world. If you were just to be one person going through the wasteland, you wouldn't have enough time to
Yeah.
establish the people. You wouldn't have enough time to like get a story go. You wouldn't have enough time to make anything that people would actually want to watch.
But that's the issue with these types of movies. You're going to have to sacrifice game mechanics and somewhat like the atmosphere, the environment almost for whatever it is you get from a movie standpoint. So perhaps you won't be able to experience karma and whatnot. But I can still see them making a movie of Fallout. I can see them having the big giant explosion actually starting from the beginning before the nuclear
Well,
explosion.
it would have to start with Ron Perlman going, war never changes.
I was about to
Yeah.
say that exact same thing.
Like,
He-
as long as it's got that, I'm still going to enjoy it.
Just,
But I
just
just,
megaton exploding.
yeah,
like,
I don't know how it would work because, and this is another problem with a lot of games recently, especially because as I said, a lot of them kind of force in moral choice.
yeah,
Like a lot of problems with say like the first Infamous games
yeah,
is following on from each other and stuff. Generally, you kind of assume in a game with moral choice, the good option is the default option that most people are going to pick, unless they're purposely role playing as a douchebag. So then that's kind of the story they'd follow in the film. So it's like, oh, well, I already know how it's going to roll. Kind
That's
of thing.
another thing they'll take away from you is the
Yeah.
is your option to choose which way you want to live.
Yeah, and
your
there
life.
wouldn't be any conflict because the character doesn't have the conflict. The person playing has the conflict. So for the character, they can make the guy do the "I don't know what to do" phase for a second, but it's like it's not the same because it's not you in the seat making that decision.
I think that's what makes the game the game. Like in Fallout, we have to make choices that some choices, they give you choices where depending on what you pick, you get a different quest.
Yeah.
Or I remember my first playthrough of Fallout 3, got right to the end and I missed one. I missed a secret achievement, which is a story-based quest.
Okay.
And I was like, what have I done? Turns out, during one of the conversation branches with Three Dog, you can actually get him to tell you where your father is.
Yeah.
And that completely skips the bit where you have to go get the dish from.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
you can entirely skip that.
You can completely skip that, and that gets rid of an achievement straight away. And I'm just like, what the hell am I doing? And it's just like, well, sometimes that can be quite frustrating. It's interesting because it's like, if you manage to persuade him to do that, then you don't have to. You don't have to go through this trial or anything like that. And a lot of that will be lost in a film because you don't get that choice. You're gonna have to go through all those parts anyway.
Yeah.
And the thing about games like Fallout is the character is a character you create. It's your character. You can relate to this character. With a film, it's a character that you see on a screen.
Yeah.
Unless they do the entire film in first person.
Yeah, but it's like you'd be sitting there watching it rather than sitting there driving it forward and sort of making it twist and turn and go wherever you want
Exactly.
to.
You're pushing it in the direction that you want it to
Yeah,
go.
I think that's a lot of problem. Like the problem that would face a lot of adaptions is there's just too much lost. Like they can make it about something else in the world, something like that. Fair enough, but a lot of bigger games. Like I would love that a Fallout film could work, but I really don't think it would. Same with BioShock.
I think coming back to what Mass said originally is that we're soon going to get a very big game film boom. I don't think so because I don't think there's going to be enough games that can be adapted well enough.
I just don't think they're placing any risk in them. That's what it is. But if they see if it works with World of Warcraft, I think they will after that.
I think especially while the comic book thing is still going on and Disney
still
is
pretty strong.
They're still ramping up like the stakes at every twist and turn, and now the other studios are kind of trying to catch up.
Yeah,
I think that's gonna go for at least a good 10 years.
I think they said they've got films planned for like 2026.
Yeah. I've heard that as well.
I reckon. This is a prediction. It's probably gonna be wrong. We'll come back to this in that year. But in the year 2020, which is 6 years from now, that's when comic book films will probably die out because they've been going for so long that people are starting to get sick of seeing the sick Captain America or something like that.
Yeah.
And although there is so much source material for them to go from, eventually the big directors are going to leave. Like Joss Whedon's not going to want to do Avengers 5 and 6.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be like, eventually, and that's when another type of film can become the forefront of the gaming, of the filming thing. It's just like I really feel that until that point, we're not going to get a new craze of film because not only have we got Avengers, We've also got the extended DC universe coming
which
soon.
they're sort of rushing in.
I don't think we even have to wait
Spider-Man's
that
really
long.
trying to set up its own thing
yeah,
as well.
with
Yeah.
Sony.
Sinister Six, and there's a
Yeah.
Venom film, and they're thinking about doing another film. There's a hint that there's going to be a Carnage film now, and it's just like,
They
nah.
kind of need to do Venom first. For that,
Yes,
but
it's pretty much that's a pretty big.
probably sort that shit out.
Yes.
But
But-
I can't remember if it was you or someone else. I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but somebody was saying to me they reckon Civil War might happen in was it you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think Civil War might happen, and my theory being is, first of all, it won't be as big as the Civil War in the comic books.
Yeah.
They can't have that many.
Because
First of all,
they don't have-
Spider-Man's quite prominent
Yeah,
in
they
the,
don't have the X-Men.
they don't have
as
the
well and stuff
X-Men.
like that.
and there's the Fantastic Four have little parts in it as well, because I think one of the HQ is actually
Yeah.
the Fantastic Four's HQ. But the way it works is the reason I think it is because anybody who's listening hasn't seen Captain America 2. Firstly, why? Secondly, probably should stop listening or skip ahead a couple of minutes.
Mass.
Yeah, have you not seen Captain America?
No.
I don't think he cares, so it's fine.
And sorry, you don't mind, do you? So much.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, okay, I won't spoil it. Don't worry. The way that Captain America ends begins to put in motion the idea of Captain America Reborn, where Captain America in the comic books, this won't happen for about 5 or 6 years. Captain America is inverted commas killed,
Yeah.
and for that to happen, Civil War needs to happen, and and all that sort of thing, and also the fact that Chris Evans
Mhm.
has only signed on to do 6 films, and he still has 3 of those left.
Yeah, and he
Whereas-
said he wants to take a break from acting and
Exactly.
directing as well.
And Sebastian Stan, who plays Bucky / the Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
spoiler alert, he signed on for 9 movies and he's only done 2.
Yeah.
So there are 4 movies that he's going to be in that Captain America, unless Chris Evans signs on to do another set of
Yeah.
movies, it's setting up for Bucky to take over as Captain America like he did in the comic books.
Yeah.
And that only begins with Captain America Reborn happening, which really is it's like it's setting up the scripts are really setting everything up, like
Yeah.
the contracts and that sort of thing. And I don't know. I think it will happen, but another way that it could work out is that in the comic books, Black Widow had a thing with the Winter Soldier about 10 years before she joined
Yeah.
Shield. So it's sort of like that could happen if there's a Black Widow film that explores her past, something like that. But that's just my thoughts, guys. I hope
Well,
you've
she's already had something from him penetrating, but that was a bullet. So we went on a slight tangent there.
Wouldn't mind.
We'll do we'll do like a Marvel fanboy
Yeah.
cast sometime.
We'll do it
We could easily talk for hours.
Oh
about
my
that
god,
shit.
it'll be a 10-part cast, and each one will
Yeah.
be an hour long.
Yep. But moving on from something we kind of
Touched
got
on,
to talking a bit at the end of the kind of film adaptation of video games thing is another thing I wanted to talk about, which is moral choice
Yes.
in video games and how
And how we morally chose not to do our original
yeah.
idea for a podcast.
how some games do it well, some games just force that shit in like there's no tomorrow. Somebody make a joke.
We'd probably get flagged if we said that joke. I have to admit.
So yeah, one example I wanted to use again to open the conversation with Fallout. I've been playing quite a lot of New Vegas recently because I realised I actually do like it, possibly more than 3, but I think Fallout 3 I'd feel like I'd cheating on it if I actually mentioned that online. But wonderful. Just a little puff on the audio. But one thing I love about Fallout New Vegas is that it still has the basic karma system of Fallout 3, which is like, okay, fair enough. That system was interesting at first, but it's very black and white.
Yeah.
Like the choices you get, you either blow somebody's fucking head off with a giant shotgun or a nuke launcher, or you befriend them and find their cup of tea out in the wasteland and give it to them. And it's like, really? Like, what the hell?
Although all the moral choices in Fallout 3 can pretty much be annulled by blowing up Megaton. The whole thing of Megaton, if you disarm the bomb or you blow up Megaton, that pushes your karma so far in one direction that it actually is hard to get back.
Yeah.
I once blew up Megaton and I felt terrible afterwards. I literally felt like the worst human being alive.
Don't blame me.
But I was trying to do good karma, see if I could get it back to the never became neutral again. Never.
Yeah, it's so difficult to hold neutral karma. There's achievements for getting, you know, to
levels,
level
yeah.
5, 10, 15, 20, and I think 30 with neutral karma. Fucking impossible. I accidentally got one for like I'd gone through and I got a level 20 neutral karma. I'm like, what?
You son of a bitch.
How the fuck? And then I was like, can I keep it for the last 10 levels, level 30? Never managed it.
Yeah.
But I think one great thing about New Vegas is
Shoot a man in the face and then give him his teacup.
Yeah. Hey, done. Yeah, one thing I love about New Vegas is that it still has that system in. Fair enough. That takes a bit of a back seat because nice, doubling up the mic thing.
Sorry.
Yeah, that takes a back seat because they changed it to a more faction-based thing where in the Mojave Waste there's all the different factions. There's like the NCR, there's Caesar's Legion. You can kind of get affinity with loads of different little towns and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's a town where everybody fucking hates me because I did a quest there for some good guys or something that involved killing a bunch of douchebags in that town. So they fucking hate me.
Okay.
There's a town where I did a quest that just happened to help them out because I saw some like invisible super mutant thing sneaking about and I was like, what the fuck is that? So I did this really cool little quest nearby and now the town loves me and they give me like a free place to live and discounts in the shops and shit and I'm like, that's really cool. So like you can go to one town, everybody's like, yeah, you're here, great, and go to the next town, everybody's like, let's shoot that fucker.
Yeah.
Which is really cool because it's not just a black and white, you either blow this guy's head off or shoot him. You can actually, you know, come under threat. I've pissed off the Caesar's Legion a lot, so they will occasionally send people to try and kill me. I'll just be trekking across there.
I hate those guys.
Like it's like the NCR are kind of douchebags and way too bureaucratic, but the Caesar's Legion are just like, yeah, we just kind of want to kill people, and it's like, well, fuck you then, I'm gonna kill you. So it's just like I'll just be wandering along, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we're a hit squad. It's like, okay, I don't know why the fuck they come and tell you. It's funny as shit. It's just like, yeah, we're from Caesar, we're here to kill you. It's like, I didn't gather by the fucking way you're dressed as ancient Romans, you idiots, and then just blow them all up.
It's just to be honest, I played only a couple of hours of New Vegas, but I like that because it's good and bad karma, but it's good and bad karma based on where you are. It's like so good karma in one place, maybe bad karma in another place. I also like things where the karmic choices are blurry, like in Fable where you've got to save money and they literally give you the choice of you get less money but you get good karma, or you get bad karma but you get shit tons of money, rather than Fable 3, which is probably
where you get to make the choice about the kingdom.
It's just the most depressing ending to a game ever, I think.
And then if you get all the monies and then don't save any people, you fucking walk around Albion, it's like there's nobody anywhere. There's just the chickens.
Just kick them. I don't fucking like them anyway. But it's just like, I like those sort of things where they actually make you think. With things like Infamous, I always had a problem with, you can either kill this guy or not kill this guy. Good karma, bad karma, what do you want to do? And I'm just like, well, of course I'm going to fucking save this guy for good karma because I'm not an asshole. And it's just like...
and then you get to the end and it's like, here is your good ending, here is your bad ending. It's like, what? Like, if the ending doesn't change, it's just good or bad.
Yeah, and also the idea of you only get certain powers if you get all the way to the good karma, all the way to the bad karma. So if you do like one thing, bad karma, when you do a good karma run through, there's a chance you're not even going to get your last powers anyway. I mean, I got Infamous with that, sorry, we got hacked PS thing. Yeah. And I just couldn't get into it. Like, it didn't feel like, it didn't really draw me in. But, I mean, with the ending to the second one, from what I hear, it was like you can either save the people by sacrificing all the conduits, or save all the conduits by killing all the people.
Yeah.
And it was taken by Sony, like they did a thing, and it was like the good ending was the one that was most prominent. People did the bad ending to get the achievements as well, but the first ending was the one that everybody got first, so they ran with that.
Yeah. So
all the conduits died, so that all the people could live.
Yeah, and that's the setup for Second Son and stuff.
But the issue with that is that neither ending is taken into account for Second Son. So none of it makes any difference.
Really? I
Because-
thought the point of Second Son was that there's only a few conduits, either like dead or they're either dead or arrested or whatever.
But the thing is that the endings are black and white. Either all conduits die, or
Yeah.
all people die. In Second Son, there are both conduits and people.
Yeah.
So where is
Yeah,
there?
it's
Where
like-
it's like fine, give us more choices, but like at least make them
Continue
Like
and
we need
mean something.
we need a continuity in that.
Yeah.
There were no
almost-
real consequences, really.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. You know what? Yeah, you see that police officer over there that's been beaten up by like just piss on him. Why not? It doesn't
Yeah.
make any difference.
Yeah, we're not going to load your file. That's one thing I appreciated about Mass Effect. There are some slightly more subtle choices and nuanced things as it goes through towards like the end of Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, where you can kind of interject with random Paragon and Renegade things in conversation, stuff
Yeah.
like that. But and a lot of things, especially in Fallout, if you look, there's like option, douchebag option, nice option. You can quite clearly see because it tells you exactly what your character's going to say.
Yeah.
Whereas in Mass Effect, if there's a Paragon or Renegade thing comes up in conversation, the Renegade thing come up and you quickly click the mouse button or whatever prompt, and he would just kind of tell someone to piss off. You're like, oh, that's not too bad. And then you do it another time and he fucking shoots someone or something.
Oh, really? So
Like,
it's just like it could be anything.
You don't know what kind of scale it's going to be, which is quite good. And also the conversation things, it just says roughly what you're going to say. It doesn't say you're going to give them a whole giant speech about how you should be a good person and stop being a douchebag. Or it doesn't say you're just going to be like, fuck it and shoot him, that kind of thing, which is pretty good.
One thing that I heard about Mass Effect, I'm not entirely sure if it's true. I'm gonna get around to playing them soon. There's a game series I missed and I really shouldn't have. But is the part where apparently there's a choice, a really really small choice that you make in the first. I say really really small. It could be quite big. It could be like I think you might be choosing between one of the two women who die. Like you got to pick one or the other, and the other one
You
dies.
do have to choose a squad mate
And-
to survive.
And
That's
in
close
Mass
to the
Effect
beginning,
3,
isn't it?
that actually has a repercussion. So it's like if you do this, then this happens. And there's also one bit in, I think it's Mass Effect 3, where when you're talking to that person, I think if you kill a specific, if you choose one of them and the other one dies, it's specifically when you're talking to the person in Mass Effect 3 during one of the scenes, the person who died walks along the back of the screen, and apparently it's one of the creepiest things in the world because you've no mention of them for that long. We'll say like, oh, by the way, you killed her, like. Fuck,
well,
man.
Shepard gets like increasing fucking PTSD towards the end of 3.
And it's
That's
just
why
like,
there's the whole I can't think of there's that theory, indoctrination theory for the ending, because Shepard's like going increasingly like insane from the stress of leading a fucking war against Reapers through the games. But yeah, like Mass Effect, kind of in Fable as well, they kind of affected each other a bit. I don't think they had any direct loading of saves, I can't remember, but especially in Mass Effect, where you make all these moral choices of exactly who you save and what you save in the ending fight of 1, it loads that for 2, and then you're like, it starts the game off with, these people were in contact with this, and it's like, they're the guys that I just saved from the first game. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
And then like those people will then show up in 3 and support you in the war and stuff like that. It's like, wow, they're still dragging this up from the first game. That's quite impressive.
It was almost as if they actually wrote the entire thing.
Yeah.
And like said like this is going to carry on. If I'm also right, is if you play Mass Effect 2 without playing Mass Effect 1, they ask you a series of questions, and that bases how your game works. Something like
Rather stupidly, that's paid. That's a paid thing. You have to pay for that. It's like a short interactive comic. Yeah, it's really dumb, and I really want to replay them again. Can't be fucked to replay 1 because the combat is so outdated and terrible.
I think that was my problem with it.
I'm gonna rush it to make the choices like I originally played it. But, because I don't want to. It's stupid. I have to pay for that thing. It should just let you ask the questions.
I thought it was actually part of the game. I thought there was actually a question thing where it's like they ask you 10 questions, and that pretty much bases the ending of 1. That's how they base
it kind
your
of like
ending to 1.
asks you what you would have done in those situations, gives you a bit of context. But as far as I know, unless you have like a special deluxe edition, then it doesn't come with it.
Yeah, I'll say that's one thing that annoyed me about. Sorry, just off topic, not moral choices, but Mass Effect is I was looking at the Mass Effect trilogies. Doesn't come with all the DLC to any of it. Like it will come with like half the DLC for 2 and like 3 pieces of DLC for 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, if it's a trilogy and all the DLC is out, just ship it. It's like 50 quid, 3 games, all the DLC, done. But no, they just don't want to do that. It just doesn't...
to be honest, I don't think many people are buying it these days. So
I think they've stopped making the trilogy, the actual solid copies now.
Yeah, probably.
Which is kind of sad because I kind of wanted them. I quite like having those trilogy in a box type things. They're quite cool.
Quite nice, like when you get the DVD boxes.
Yeah, those sort of things.
But
And
it'd be quite good if you got Mass Effect 3 something. I still love the multiplayer on that. Everybody was like, "Oh, they've tapped to multiplayer." I'm like, it's actually really fucking fun.
Yeah,
shit. I've spent hundreds of hours on that. It's ridiculous.
I played the demo of the multiplayer, and it is hard as shit.
Nah,
but
it's
I
easy.
actually quite enjoyed. No, because I was only low level at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Though. I was like level 1.
Nah.
So you were bound to
Level 1 adept, easy, still smash everyone.
just like, alright, fine, well, fucking.
I'll show you how to play, bro.
Alright,
characters, bro.
You also got to remember, I'd never played Mass Effect. I played Mass Effect 1 and piece of 2, and you know what? I played the demo for 3, and I liked it more than I liked the one for 1. But
it's because 1 is so
it's
outdated
like,
now.
The main problem I had with Mass Effect 1 is, okay, it sounds like a really, really menial thing considering it's an RPG, but it was just like, for a game about a war and stuff like that, it was just like exposition, and it really sort of like, it really dragged on and
I think they had a little less budget and an increase going between 1 and 2 and then 2 and 3.
It's like they didn't take the words of Elvis Presley, a little less conversation, a little more action.
If only. Well, the problem with the combat system, to further slightly derail this, in the first Mass Effect is BioWare had worked on like KOTOR 1, then I think Obsidian did KOTOR 2.
Yeah.
They still had pretty much the same combat system. And then the combat for Mass Effect 1 was like somewhere between the more shooter streamlined thing they had in 2 and KOTOR. You can pause the game at any time to queue up your actions and stuff. Like it was
That's pretty cool.
It was somewhere between that, which was kind of a good idea, because I like the KOTOR system where you can change between characters, pausing combat, that kind of thing. But I prefer them for Mass Effect. The Mass Effect 2 and then 3 combat was better because it's like, oh, this is actually shooting. We're in a shooter. This is more like war rather than, oh, fucking control squad, mate. Make him do that ability. It made it like, it kind of killed the flow of it a bit.
Yeah. Quickly going back to moral choices, I remember a fairly underrated game as it goes. The game doesn't play fantastically, but it's not a bad game. When I got my PS3, I managed to pick up a really cheap copy of Alpha Protocol. Have you ever played that?
I've never played that.
It is amazingly underrated game.
Was that on the PC?
It was on the PC. I think I have it on the PC as well. It's part of a Humble Bundle
I
recently.
think I have that on the PC.
Yeah, it came with the like.
Was that the one you paid £25 for?
Oh, shut up.
I think it was that one. It was the Sega one, so I think it was. Mass, you bastard, giving £25 to chat. Wait a second.
Right.
Oh, now I feel bad. But like Alpha Protocol, there was always different ways about going about the boss, and it was like you could either befriend them and they send you weapons, or you could kill them, and when you got ordnance from your CIA partners or whatever it was, then you got something. But there was one boss that was a female, and you could literally just seduce her. That was part of the game, was you could seduce her, and if you seduced her, you could start calling in airstrikes. So it was like I think it was something stupid like that. It was something ridiculously overpowered, and if you could seduce her, but it was just like, that's the kind of moral choice that needs to be in games. If you do the bad thing, you get the good shit, you know?
Yeah, there needs to be a lot of the problems with moral choices. As you were saying about Infamous, you have to go all the way to one end to get all the powers, or all the way to the other end to get different ones, but you can't kind of pick this choice and then it gives you one of two. Then you go to another choice and this time you pick the bad ending and get that power or something like that.
You need a balance, you mean?
Yeah, there is never any balance, because the good side will inevitably be you have got some Healy stuff and you look nice, and then the bad side will inevitably be you get like a slightly stronger attack of magic of some kind,
and you're grimy.
And you look a bit like you need a wash. It's like, have you not seen all like the terrible overly British villains in Hollywood ever? They're all fairly well kept.
Yeah. I've always had this thing of when I play Fable, just like that's what's going on. That's something. I always do the bastard choice, and I always make myself. I'll show you. I should show you my character at some point.
Okay.
Always every Fable I play, I'm a dykey lesbian, like a really really butch lesbian. I up her strength as far as possible. Occasionally I shave her head and I make her wear men's clothes, just because I love Fable being the most ridiculous game in the world. Like, if they say, oh, you can make this game as funny and ridiculous as you want, or as serious and boring as you want, and I'm just like, fuck it, I'm going all the way to the fucking end of batshit crazy avenue and turning left on I'm a weird cunt way. Yeah. It's just like, and it's just like, just more fun that way. Yeah. And the moral choices at the end of the day didn't really matter until right at the end when you had to make those ones for the
For the kingdom.
And you know what I did in the end anyway? Was I just put a certain amount of money in my account, right? Bought everywhere and then went to the fucking shops and then came back and I had enough money anyway.
Yeah.
So it didn't even make the moral choices didn't mean shit.
Yeah, it's true. Like there are dodgy ways involving like lending each other money and slowly just over the course of the game buying the entirety of Albion and just saving the kingdom off fucking property tax and shit.
It's just like you're taxing all your people out the arsehole and yet eventually you save them and they're like, oh, we might like you now. It's like, cool, I'll sell.
And then you run around to all 3 fucking hundred or whatever houses you own and set the tax back to normal and everyone's like, we love you again. It's like, hey, everyone forgot.
It's like, hey, best friends.
Yeah, BFFs didn't save you all, you bastards.
Definitely won't cut your head off. Don't worry about
I think like one of the problems with a lot of moral choice in games is the things like Infamous and stuff. There's kind of open world and sandbox stuff, but there's still a bit more focus. Whereas things a bit more like Fallout, or Fable, they just go. You can go anywhere, dick around, do whatever you want. It's like a proper full-on RPG.
Yeah. With
loads of options. So in those kind of games, the moral choice works a bit better because there's a bit more room for it and it makes a bit more sense. But in something like Infamous, like you've got choices, but they never seem to add up to much or matter much because there's not a much larger world.
Yeah.
Like one thing I appreciated Prototype for over Infamous was that you just play as an anti-hero in Prototype.
Yeah.
You're not. There's no moral choice. Like you're kind of confused. You don't know what the hell has happened to you, so you just go around murdering people till you get the answer, and it's just like, I fucking love it for it. It's got the balls to go, let's do this.
It's a game that isn't afraid.
Yeah.
Well, again, sort of going full circle to the beginning of the podcast. The original game for moral choices, The Sims.
Yeah.
Because you just choose to be a dick to people and they won't like you, and you choose to be nice to people and then they love you, and then things like there were things you could do where like if you befriended your boss, then you actually got promotions quicker and stuff like that. And it's just like moral choices, and you could just fuck off your boss and they fire you because they don't like you, or you get demoted because fuck it, why not? And it's just like that was pretty much black and white, but at the end of the day, that wasn't really seen at the time. Fable was the first game I really played that had moral choices, I think.
Yeah. For me, it was
Oblivion. Yeah. See, I never really. Everybody hates me when I say this. I hate Oblivion. Fucking hate Oblivion.
Really?
I dislike Oblivion so much.
That game is just made on choices. Same for Elder Scrolls, and you can play the entire game.
Isn't it an Elder Scrolls game?
Douchebag. Huh?
Isn't it an Elder Scrolls game?
You idiot. Do you mean Skyrim?
Skyrim.
There we go. See, the thing is with the difference between Skyrim and Oblivion for me, the reason that made Skyrim a decent game was the way that the game played mainly. But it was just like there were certain things that just felt a little bit better. I didn't feel with Oblivion. Yeah, it had sword combat and that sort of thing, but it was the kind of game that it felt a little bit clunky with it.
Very clunky.
With Skyrim, they added that sort of. It didn't feel. Don't get me wrong, it's still like press trigger and he swings type thing. But that worked. They made it feel better in Skyrim.
Yeah.
With Fallout, it was mainly guns, so it had the same gameplay elements, but it was mainly guns.
That's just so bullshit, but I love it.
VATS was pretty much the killer for everybody. It was just like, oh, I can't get off VATS.
I can't be bothered to there.
I think I heard. I think it might have been on Rooster Teeth when they were talking about someone played through the first half of the game because they had VATS or something like that.
I don't know how the fuck you missed that, but
I mean, it teaches you how to use it at the beginning of the game.
The funny thing I love about VATS is just like sometimes you'll use like an incinerator or a Fat Man launcher, and you'll aim up and lob the shot, and you hit things, and then you go VATS, and the VATS is like, we can't do that. And it's like the fucking targeting computer doesn't know to make you aim up a bit. Like, well, so you have to get really close with like an incinerator. It's like, why? This is a long range of, or like grenades. You can lob a fucking grenade and bounce it off scenery into someone. Yeah. If you go in VATS, VATS will be like, nah, 0% chance. It's like, can we at least try? Nah, not gonna fucking hit, mate. I'm a targeting computer. I know what I'm talking about. It's like, fuck you.
So all it's gonna do is lob it directly in the direction of the person, where it bounces off a wall and then hits the corner and then explodes, or it's gonna bounce off the door frame and fuck you up.
And you get how many times slow-mo shot
when you were in certain places. There was I think it was a school or an office block in one of the places, and you had to do little thing in that, and I did VATS aiming, and I lobbed it, and it bounced off the door frame and fucking killed me.
And never VATS grenades is the worst. That's like a moral choice, as in you should kill yourself because that's a dumb choice.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, I love the one good thing about VATS grenades is that when you're a decent amount of thing and you decent amount of distance, and it says like there's a 60%, you do it anyway because occasionally it will literally just land in front of them, and you sort of in your head you're just like fuck, boom.
Yeah, and you just
Yeah,
hear
it's
oh no, because it's all in
Yeah,
slow-mo. It's like
yeah.
oh no.
Or the
Fucking
was it
goes
the
up.
mystery stranger or something like that? The guy
I
just
love that.
I love that
That
perk.
fucking perk.
Oh, I love that.
Always, every playthrough I get that perk, I'm like, yes.
and occasionally you'll do VATS and it'll just be like man appears in
Yeah,
a
you
trench
just,
coat.
hear,
and
you just hear now 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 now, and it's like what? And then this guy pops up with the most OP fucking revolver. It's just like Deathclaw, boom, dead. Oh my god,
Fucking.
so amazing.
I think from this podcast we've established, Fallout 3 is fucking amazing.
Yeah, New Vegas, I would possibly say even better. Also because there's fucking iron sights in it for most
put-
of the guns.
Really?
And gun mods. It's
Excellent.
so good. It's like, oh, I loved the hunting rifle because it was kind of OP and really easy to find ammo in 3. The hunting
Yeah.
rifle was so fucking good.
Fucking love that gun.
A lot better than an actual sniper rifle because that you could find more of them to repair.
Yeah.
And in New Vegas, there's weapon mods, so you can get like a thing for extra clip size. I think you cock the gun faster. There's one for a scope. I'm like, oh my god, yes, a scope on this thing. Darn, I don't need an actual
Yeah.
sniper rifle and stuff like that.
The one thing I did by mistake was I played Fallout through, and you get the energy cells.
Yeah.
For some reason, I didn't get rid of them. Never ever got rid of them. I had about 700 of them. And then they released the Operation Anchorage DLC,
Yeah.
where you could have the gun that shot energy cells.
Yeah.
And I had the time of my fucking... got rid of everything in my inventory.
Was
so
it
I
the
could have
Gauss? Was
700
it the one that knocks him back? The Gauss rifle or whatever?
The Gauss rifle, yeah.
That's so
Oh
good.
my god! And I just
Every critical hit,
7
everything falls over. It's like
it's like 700 shots. I never ran out of bullets because
Yeah.
every time you killed someone, every time you thought you'd be running out, it's like, oh, by the way, you found 7 or 8
yeah,
more.
you're killing
in
so
one
many
place.
things. You can sell all the stuff and buy more.
It's just so funny.
Yeah,
And well, I don't know. I think we're pretty much coming to time now.
more or less.
Yeah.
I just want to say one more
Yeah.
thing on the subject of moral choice, even though we got slightly slightly off topic. Was the thing I appreciated going from the first kind of Bethesda game I played was Fallout 3 that had like just the karma system.
Yeah.
Then going onto a bit of New Vegas, then playing Skyrim.
Yeah.
I really love that there's moral choice in that, and there's no karma system at all. You
Yeah.
can help a town, you can help the blacksmith, you can kill him, you can go crazy, murder everyone, and kind of similar to New Vegas. Yeah, everyone in the town be pissed at you, and there's bounties, but there's no overall karma system. The ending does not change based on your choices throughout the game, which was so good. Like the world
Yeah.
changes, but not the story.
Yeah.
I really love that. That was so great.
Yeah. It's just
You
I
don't
think-
get the little ding noise or the
you have
whatever the
gained
evil noise.
a
and
point
it's
of
like-
good karma. Just like
the guy's just like thanks, and you're like cool, and they're like where's the oh there isn't a thing,
Yeah.
sweet.
And that's that.
Yeah. Like, it keeps it so simple because it's more realistic. The choice is in there. The guy's like, thanks, here's a bit of extra gold, here's a dagger, and you're like, cool.
Well,
You just go do something else.
I think we should end this podcast very aptly and have 2 different endings, a good one and a bad one.
Yeah.
And what we should do is we should have an annotation on the left and the right, and just have 2 statements, and you guys should pick a statement, and that gives you your ending.
Yes, I think we'll do that, definitely.
So we'll end it. We'll start to end it here, guys. Pick your ending.
Choose wisely. You are choosing the fate of the entire cast. It is in your hands.
Do it.